Clay Patton on the Rural Radio Network. You hear the murmur behind me. We're at the Lexington Area Chamber of Commerce's annual banquet where we honored both businesses in town and agriculture communities as we're here with the Farm Family of the Year for 2023, and that is Rick and Stephanie Buell, and they live just south of Lexington. Congratulations, guys, on a tremendous award. Rick, get us started here. Give us an overview of your guys' farming operation today.
Primarily irrigated agriculture. We grow a lot of silage and corn, high moisture corn for feedlots. In our past, we had cattle and cow-calf operation, but since then we've devoted all our life mostly to row crop farming.
So it's amazing to kind of see the expanse that you've done in agriculture. Give us some background, not actually starting in the Lexington area. You started dryland farming over closer to Eustis.
I had a couple dryland quarters to farm from neighbors south of Eustis when I started. We primarily grew Milo, and through the 4-H programs, I got a few head of cattle started and was able to increase my herd as the years went along, and we ran cattle pretty much until 1998.
That is an impressive career in agriculture, and again, still to this day on the irrigated side, starting in a dryland operation, farming multi-generations with your dad and your family, coming to an irrigated farm. What was some of the biggest challenges and things that you've overcame here and where you're at today?
The transition from dryland to irrigated at that time was fairly huge because we were used to growing crops that were 40, 50 bushel. Dryland situation, those crops, a lot of years would fail. And that was before crop insurance that gave you a safety net, so you were just kind of at a loss for revenue those years. But when we transitioned over to the valley farming, you know, the abundance of water was huge over in the valley, and crops were a lot better, and had a more stable income growing irrigated crops.
Rick, so let's talk Stephanie as well. You have been a longtime supporter. Your high school sweethearts. It's a fun love story that you get to interweave. But I want to talk about your hard work and dedication as well. You get a nursing degree from Mary Landing College. Nursing jobs are tough to come by, so you're working at a bank part-time, but then you're also working night shifts, you're working weekends. How were you able to balance that early in your life, being a young wife and managing all of that?
It was hard, but we were both putting in those kind of hours, so you just did the work and then you had fun when you had the chance and you went from there.
And we needed the money.
Yeah, we needed the money. That's right.
You know, that's not the first farm family to make a similar mention, similar to that, working off farm as well. Now, Stephanie, you grew up in a banking family, had a passion for nursing, but you've kind of always centered back into the banking. Today you're working on it. How has that helped, having that type of institutional banking knowledge when it comes to your family farming operation?
It's helped a lot. I see things through a different set of eyes than Rick does. He has the dream, the drive, the work ethic, but sometimes I can interject things that I can see from the financial side, or just take a look at this other idea, start the seed somewhere different, and that's always been a help.
Rick, in your acceptance speech of the award, you talked about some of your concerns about the future of agriculture, and especially for young people. What is your advice today for a young person that has a passion for agriculture?
Try to find a mentor, whether it's somebody financial, somebody that has a chunk of ground that are looking maybe step back from farming. My point of view is that agriculture, with the extreme amount of money that it takes to buy a property, to operate the property, you're going to have help from somebody, whether it be machinery or knowledge. It's getting increasingly hard to start on your own. You know, as far as the FSA has beginning farmer loans and things like that are a real big benefit, but you got to have some type of help because the numbers since I've started have increased so much that it's almost cost prohibitive. Any way that you can get your foot in the door and get started, rent some properties, get started with the help of somebody is kind of where I think it needs to go if you're on your own.
As well, what are some other things that you think are key issues to be watching as we move further in our world and when it comes to the ag world?
I think the restrictions that we're getting on water is a big component of what we do, and the restrictions, we don't want to lose local control of our water. I think farms are going to continue to consolidate and become bigger and bigger. The record keeping is becoming huge with verification of livestock, with verification of crops going to that livestock. The record keeping is becoming a big issue. The end user wants to know where it's grown, where the animal comes from, all these types of things, and it just creates another set of books, more record keeping.
Stephanie, anything you want to add, whether it be for young people getting into agriculture, maybe from the banking side, things that are facing the future of agriculture?
Finances are big. We've come from a time frame that was not as much an issue. You know, whenever you needed some money, you drove to town with a truckload of corn and sold it, and there you went. But today, farming is big business, and to me, what I see the most is people need to think a little bit more in that avenue, and they need to embrace the importance of the financial side of it and put the effort into understanding that as well.
Rick and Stephanie, thank you guys so much for allowing us a little bit of your time. Congratulations again on being the Farm Family of the Year. Before I let you go, final closing thoughts, important information I've overlooked in the course of our conversation.
I really appreciate this award, all the time and effort you've put into it. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
And again, as Rick and Stephanie Buell, they are your 2023 Farm Family of the Year here at the Lexington Area Chamber of Commerce Awards and Agriculture Banquet. You're listening to the Rural Radio Network.